Today, I want to talk about crime, criminals, and what each and every one of us will do about it. Gates went from being a software tycoon to an international foundation that poisoned millions of children in Africa and India with a vaccine. And this was all with the World Health Organization's endorsement. So, we have an example of criminality. The reason the Royal Canadian Mounted Police are called Royal is because they don't actually serve any of us, even though we pay for them. They serve the Crown. That's why they're called Royal. Anytime you enter a courtroom, the judge actually serves an oath to the Crown. How many people here hate Bill Gates? When a person abuses an animal, for example, beating a dog with a stick, the dog often attacks the stick, not the person holding it. Justin Trudeau is just the stick. So then the question is, who is holding that stick? We have some very good answers out here. I'll give you one answer for you guys to consider and do your research on. The Prime Minister of Canada is the Prime Minister in the Church of the Queen of England. Prince Andrew. We don't know how many others there are in this royal family. Now, this is a message for everyone in law enforcement. I hope you've all watched the speech I did about law enforcement that I gave to the truckers. But if you haven't, this message is for you. Do people here think that the bodyguards of a criminal that guard criminals so that they can do criminal activities such as abuse of children, murder, and extortion, are those bodyguards of a criminal criminals as well? Just as guilty. So I was wondering for a long time, because it was back in November of last year, 6 months ago, that Mel Boucher and I filed police reports about conflict of interest. We filed it with the North Vancouver RCMP. We even found a forensic financial analyst to help them look into conflicts of interest of Bonnie Henry, Pfizer, John Horgan, Pfizer, and the health industrial complex and pharmacy. And guess what the RCMP did? Nothing. And then sometime after that, in Ottawa, RCMP members committed acts of vandalism, attempted murder. And RCMP, I hope you're listening right now. Do you want to know why? Because it's the Royal Canadian Mounted Police. Everything they have done is with the blessing of the Queen. You have criminals upon criminals. And the enforcement guards of these criminals are our very own law enforcement. Is it any wonder? Is it any wonder why they treat us with such disdain? In Coutts, Alberta, there was a standoff between families, men, women, and children standing in a line, faced off with unbadged, black uniformed enforcement sent by the Prime Minister working on behalf of the Queen. Thanks to one of the protest organizers in Coutts, he diffused the situation. And what did those families hear? The sound of dozens upon dozens of safety locks. That's the switch on the machine gun that puts it back onto safety so it can't accidentally be fired. They heard safety switches going off. These so-called officers in uniform were pointing machine guns with the safeties off at children. You work for law enforcement, you have a choice. You can choose to take a paycheck from a criminal organization. This is a paycheck and a pension that you cannot take with you when you die. In fact, even Bill Gates can't take anything with him when he dies. The only thing you can take is the deeds you've done, the memories you've made, and the friends and the people who will remember you. So, law enforcement, I ask you to find the justice in your soul. Make a choice between being loved and respected for eternity, or to have 10 or 15 years of paychecks and a bank account you can't take with you. So here's the solution for each and every one of us. There's a saying, don't take the law into your own hands. Do you know why that saying was popularized in culture? Because that is what they are afraid of. If each and every one of us takes the law into our own hands, we can eliminate injustice. Taking the law into your own hands starts with the heart. You have to find the justice in your heart. You have to be honest with yourself. And once you have found justice in the Plato sense, which is excellence of the soul, and you find honesty with yourself, you can start sharing that honesty and that justice with those around you. Once you have justice in your hearts, you can take the law into your own hands. And as people gathering together in groups, taking justice in our hearts and the law into our own hands, we establish jurisdictions, neighborhood by neighborhood. We establish groups of people who assemble into courts. And should a criminal enter our jurisdiction, our neighborhood, a criminal that we have tried with due process, with the same due process and truth that we would try upon ourselves, we can order a warrant for that person's arrest. So if that person ever sets foot in Cole Harbour, in Kitsilano, in North Grandview, in Richmond, Surrey, Langley, Chilliwack, Hope, there is a jurisdiction of men and women who have taken the law into their own hands. Not a law that was written, because believe it or not, the Creator doesn't often write things down. This is the law that the Creator put in each and every one of our hearts. And it's up to us to take that justice, that divine law that was born into each and every one of us, put it in our hands and share it with others. And when there is a crime, it is up to us to make it right. The Creator has given us the power. We no longer will have to rely on the Royal Canadian Mounted Police. The Royal Canadian Mounted Police that didn't investigate Trudeau for SNC Lavalin. Why didn't the RCMP investigate the Prime Minister of the Queen? Because they are all the same criminal. Why did the RCMP not even investigate the We Charities corruption scandal? Because they had the blessing of the Queen not to investigate the Queen's Prime Minister. This is the corruption that has happened over and over and over again. We cannot entrust justice. We cannot entrust our children's lives to law enforcement, to a Prime Minister that does not swear an oath to anyone but the Queen. For those of you who doubt what I am saying, please look up Justin Trudeau's swearing of oath ceremony. He does not swear an oath to the Charter. He does not swear an oath to men, women, and children of Canada. He only swears an oath to the Queen. This is dishonor. This is crime. And if you take a paycheck from a criminal to protect a criminal so that they can continue doing their criminal acts, then you too are a criminal. But you don't have to remain a criminal. But in the meantime, we, men, women, and children, will find justice and take the law into our own hands, because our survival depends on it. Thank you very much.
If you don't think there's been fraud in the Canadian government, I'm going to shut this down. Okay. If you don't think there's been fraud in the Canadian government, I suggest you look at the Statute of Westminster, where the Crown basically said, we don't want to take care of you anymore. The Queen is not part of Canada. It hasn't been so since 1931. Yet they keep on going that this Queen is our Queen. No, she isn't. In no way whatsoever. People got to realize that. Since 1931, in 1931, they wrote this, and Canada was supposed to write a constitution. They totally fucking ignored it. Totally. We're not a country at all. Period. Don't kid yourself. You say, oh, we got a constitution. No, we don't. They have the BNA Act. And what happened with the BNA Act? A few weeks before Queen Victoria died, she took off the opening statements and therefore made it a non-law. How can they put a law and law dead document as our, quote, constitution? And it was never made to be a constitution. Like, it's just bullshit. Absolute bullshit what's going on in this. Like, when you wake up and realize that this is what's going on, you research the facts, and you can do that at the Mrs. Canada under their timeline. It's just absolutely phenomenal how bad they're screwing us. Absolutely phenomenal. Have a good day. Bye.